Hello, Bobs. We're back with more book plates of today. "19 examples of decorative book plates by modern British designers" from the London studio. We'll first start with this one. William Frederick Havemeyer. Then Poetry Ex Libris, Charles Home by J.W. Simpson. Franklin Jenkins. This book belongs to him. What an odd little arrangement. Ex Libris, Theold Vellecomte de Gramont. Ex Libris, P.C. Kennedy. Ex Libris, Kingslers, Edward Morton. J.W. Simpson, his book. Ex Libris, Katie Black. Ex Libris, R.C. 4 designs by Gordon Craig. It's Kitty. KD, Kitty. Robert McMahon. From Drawing After Etching by D.Y. Cameron. Edith A. Kingsford by Harold Nelson. T. Henry Foster, his book. The Artistic Bookplate by Temple Scott. A bookplate is, in its simplest expression, is a printed indication of the ownership of a book. It may take the form of the unadorned visiting card, or it may be embellished with heraldic and other designs explanatory of the owner's name, ancestry, taste, or predilections. Primarily, however, it is intended to fix ownership. How far it satisfactorily serves its purpose is perhaps of little moment to the average book collector. For the bookplate has emerged from the stage of practical utility and become a thing in itself, so to speak. It has taken its place beside the many articles de virtu, which are godsends to the weary of brain and heart, inasmuch as they become the objects of a passion so delightful in its experience as to make us forget the little trials and worries of life that make pessimists of us in this bleak Alkadama of sorrow. The Saldama? I don't know how to say it. Nay, they may even become the one sun shining and irradiating for us all the dark places of our wanderings, and cheer us with the hopes for new and finer acquisitions than we already have. When, however, we come to a consideration of the artistic bookplate, we enter upon a new field of inquiry entirely. It indicates that a simple usage of a necessary and harmless convention has developed into a complex expression. An expression not merely of the individual to whom the book belongs, but also of the artist whose business it is to give pictorial form to the desires and wishes and tastes of his patron. From the crude, if sufficient, pasteboard stuck on the end paper to the heraldic display was surely no very far cry. In the countries of the old world, where pride of ancestry touches the worthy and unworthy alike, it was to be expected that so valuable an opportunity for flaunting the deeds of daring do of one's forefathers as a sign of one's own distinction, such as the bookplate offers, was certainly not to be neglected. So we find the coats of arms which once served as inspirations and which once had a genuine meaning to their owners and retainers now do service in the more peaceful realms of bookland. And assuredly there are certain books in a library which are more worthily acknowledged after this ancient and martial fashion. We cannot but believe that a Froissart from the press of Caxton or Winkin de Worde would be handled with more reverence if one saw on the verso of its front cover a glorious display of the arcana of heraldry in all of its magnificence of mysterious meaning. This feeling would also be aroused in turning the leaves of, say, Philip Le Noir's edition of the Gesta Romanorum, 1532, or of Hayton's Lytell Chronicle, from the shop of Richard Pinson, or of Manville's Voyages and Travails, issued by T. Snodham in 1625, or of Pliny's Historia Naturalis from the Venetian press of Nick, Jensen in 1472, or of Rastell's Pastime of People, imprinted in Chepacide at the scene of the Mermaid in 1529. Chepacide at the sign of the Mermaid. To these and their like, a bookplate of heraldic story comes as a fitting and graceful compliment. But the average mortal of this workaday world and age has not the means wherewith to acquire such treasures of the bibliophile, nor perhaps has he the necessary pedigree with which to adorn them if acquired. Though on this latter consideration we suspect that the Herald's College, in the purliest of Doctors' Commons, and the more amenable, though not less expensive, Tiffany on this side of the Atlantic, would no doubt prove excellent aids to a full satisfaction. But we are not here dealing with the pomp and glorious circumstance of heraldry. In dealing with the artistic bookplate, we are considering a matter which concerns itself not with past stories or past individuals, but with the present tale and the particular living personage who has the laudable and humble ambition to distinguish his copy of a book from his friend's copy of the same book. A taste in books may be easily whitewashed, but a taste in a bookplate flares its owner's hearts right into the eyes of the demurest damsel or the simplest swain. It may be that our collection is but a series of Tauchnitz editions carefully garnered on a European tour, or a handful or two of Bond's library, accumulated from our more sturdiest days, or a treatise on golf, chess, gardening, and photography, or a history of the state or town in which we live. It matters little what. These are the treasures we most prize, and we wish to hold them. Now, how best shall the collector mark them as his own? Dreadful reading today. Maybe I need some coffee at 9 o'clock at night. He writes his name on the title page. Ugh! What a vandal's act. The man who could so disfigure a book deserves to have it taken from him and his name obliterated. He who could find it in his heart to write on title pages could surely commit a murder. We'd much rather he turned a leaf down to mark the place where he had left off in his reading, though to do that is bad enough in all conscience. Nor does he save his soul by writing on the fly title, or even end paper. Moreover, this will not save his book either. A visiting card can easily be taken out. It looks too formal, nondescript, meaningless, common to inspire any respect in a would-be thief. But an artistic bookplate, that's another thing altogether. An artistic bookplate is the expression and decorative illustration of the proprietor's taste, made by an artist who has sympathetically realized the feeling intended. It should objectify one and only one salient characteristic, either of temperament, habit, disposition, or pleasure of its owner. If it does less, it is not individual. If it does more, it is not satisfying. Now, each one of us has some characteristic trait that is not common to us all. Then let that be the aim of the artist to embody in decorative form. And let that embodiment be simple and direct. The simpler and more direct it is, the more will it appear. And the more beautiful it is, the more will it soften the kleptomaniacal tendencies of the ghoulish book hunter. For nothing touches him so nearly to the finer impulses of nature than the contemplation of beauty, and he would be less than human did he fail to respond. We would even go to the length of giving, as an admirable test of the bookplate artist's power, the lending of a book, whose loss would give no qualms containing the plate. If it come not back, there's something the matter with your plate, or you can libel your friend as a beast of low degree, which suggests a good way of finding out your friend's true character. But then there's no limit to the powers of a beautiful bookplate. Now, there are a great many coy people who don't care to wear their hearts on their sleeves. These would naturally feel indisposed to post themselves thus before the public eye, be the bookplate never so beautiful. To these, we would say, give us what you prize best. Your home, your wife, your sweetheart, your motto, though that's giving yourself away too. Your baby, anything that is truly yours. Babies are quite apropos and should be characteristic, though it does not always follow. Some babies have a habit of taking after quite other people. The idea is to embody something individual, something special in particular. If he can afford a large library or is a collector of the works of one or two authors, there's a way out of the difficulty for the coy person by having the bookplate represent the characteristic of the author and have his name as an addition. That may be taking a liberty, but authors are accustomed to that, and besides, you are appreciating them, and that should exercise the spirit of an indignant classic from the four walls of your library. Have the original of the design framed on the wall. That may save you a lot of explanation should the spook even get mad. You can always lay the blame on the artist. Of course, this means a bookplate for each author, but as bookplates are not, after all, such very expensive luxuries, this consideration need be a matter of small moment. Yet another idea is to have an artistic treatment of representation of your library, your den. That sounds very inviting and certainly can hurt no one's feelings. If you don't happen to possess a special apartment, give an apartment such as you would like to possess, or show your favorite chair or nook or greenwood tree or running brook or garden plot. There are thousands of ways in which to fashion a bookplate, and an artistic bookplate too. We thus can see what an advance the modern artistic bookplate is on the old style article. So formal, so characterless, so inchoate, and so amorphous. Indeed, the artistic bookplate is a genuine inspiration, or it may be made so. How charming, or delight-giving, or valuable, or intoxicating it is, depends largely on the artist. But it also depends on the individual who desires it. It should be planned with care and executed with feeling. It should be like no other bookplate is, in the sense that it possesses some flavor that is private and personal. It should be as much an indication of the owner's taste as in his library. And no man can hide his nature from the friend who has had access to that. There are many things a bookplate should not be, but these may be summed up in the advice: it should not be a mask. You may order your books by the hundredweight from your bookseller, but that won't stand you in any stead when your friend handles them and turns to you for a criticism or an opinion. You may also commission your artist for a bookplate, but you are in a worse plight if you fail in the more direct explanation you will be required to make to the insistent inquirers as to its meaning or appositeness. No, be it ever so humble, let it be yours. It may be a poor thing, but it is your own. But it may be also a very rich thing, and your own also. God, I'm struggling with the reading tonight. James Dick. All right, Rob. That's all for now. Goodbye.